Enums, like many other things in programming, are a solution to a problem. So why don't we take a look on the problem and learn using enums while fixing that issue? Strings are very useful, but I have seen them being used to set different statuses, roles of objects, and to control the program based on some role. If you have some order or product, like the pizzas we have in this example, it is probably a bad idea to set order status as a string. We may make typos, like here. We may be not sure if we should use uppercase or lowercase, so I could type not confirmed here. And we already would have a bug. Our program would no longer work the way we intended. What's more, if for some reason I decided to change available names or maybe just change them to uppercase, I would have to go through all usages of them and refactor it, fix it by hand, because I can't just click right mouse button and pick refactor functionality. I know that I'm using PyCharm, which may be not your IDE of choice, but many of you who are using Sublime Text Editor or Visual Studio Code, you also have those refactoring functions, and they don't work the way we would like them to work in case of strings. We could store those names in some class, a simple enumerator, and that would fix the issue for us. So why don't we create one? We just have to create a class, call it some way that is easy to comprehend, maybe order status, and that has to inherit from enum. Don't worry if you see that red highlight here, because we can import it from enum module, which is built in Python. So now we have to declare names that we're going to use. They are usually uppercase. In Python, we try to use uppercase attributes for enums, but we also use uppercase names for variables that are declared on top of the file and they are some kind of global. So if I see such bold variable like this one, I will probably guess that it's some not only global variable, but maybe some preset config. If I see a class name, like here, and then an attribute which is uppercase, then I may be sure that it is probably some enum. Of course, I may be wrong, but it just simplifies reading the code. Everyone follows the same convention, everyone gets it. So we should declare some names, and let me paste more of them. We're gonna be able to make an order, then confirm it, of course cancel, then we have delivery phase, and once it's finalized, it's finished. Usually, when working with enumerators, we assign an integer value to each of those attributes, like 0, 1, 2, and so on. And that's what you do in C++ or other languages. As long as we use the basic enum, that is going to be always an integer. Integers are simple, take little memory, and operations on them, like comparison, are quite efficient. But if we declare those numbers here and want to change order, now we have to fix all of that. And also, if we have many parameters, we may just run into a struggle of typing manually all of that stuff. And someone was wise and made an auto function that does all of that for us. The only thing we have to do is to import it from enum module, and that's it. That's gonna work. But now that order status we created isn't used anywhere, at least yet. Let's go back to our orders, and we are no longer going to use a string here. And that string is event typed here in our data class. If you don't know what data classes are, they are simple classes that generate some stuff for you and are very nice to use and make your code cleaner, and they are meant for storing data. If you never played with them, I recommend you my video that talks about them and will explain you everything. So we are changing status to being typed as order status, and you can already see we have some highlight telling us that we have a wrong type here, which is good because now it's harder to skip that stuff during refactor. So I'm gonna set non-confirmed value here, and let me paste that value as a status of those two more. Let me also fix the status in the confirm order method because my code can change the status using some method, and also we have some mock of a function that would notify chef that maybe it would ring a bell in the restaurant and show him a message on the screen. I don't know. I never worked in a restaurant, so I may make very uneducated guesses. So here, order status, and let's set it to confirmed. Our code should work. We can run it, and we see that order status nicely prints in a data class, and we even see which integer was assigned to that attribute. So if we scroll up, we can probably make a guess that not confirmed is the first one, and first integer is always 1. We don't start counting here from 0, we count from 1, and each attribute has a value bigger by 1 than the previous. Working with those enumerators is very pleasant because, for instance, if you want to print only orders that are confirmed, you make a simple if check, and we're not comparing strings this time, so it's not something like confirmed here. Instead, we are using order status dot, and it's gonna be confirmed here. Now we can print that, and we see that there is only pepperoni on our list. What's more, I mentioned earlier that you may want to refactor stuff. So maybe we would like to store only orders that are paid. If it's not paid, we're not even introducing it into the system. So right mouse button, then refactor, rename, and we're gonna rename it to paid. If I scroll down to my confirm order, I can see that that is as it used to be, okay, because we didn't modify that attribute, but here, those three were updated automatically. So if you let your VS Code or whatever editor you are using, rename that. So you can let your code editor do its work, let it refactor everything, and now you probably have less bugs in your final application. Our code is cleaner than in the beginning of the video, and it will be easier to work with it in the future. That's all, but I would love to hear your comments. I wonder how many of you studied computer science and were taught about enumerators, maybe on C++ classes or Java, and you were told about them before being able to write code that would actually need them. Or maybe how many times you noticed that Python code doesn't use those enumerators and uses string comparison instead, which is probably not the cleanest way. That's all. Bye.